Hey everybody, this is actually the day after Christmas, but I wanted to basically give a bit of a recap of this year, as well as just go over some things that we're looking forward to in 2024. So first and foremost, first of all, I've got popcorn, and I actually recently went to Canada this past couple of weeks. So I brought back this ice cider, cidre de glace, tempête. And we're gonna try this because it's like, there was a whole bunch of them, but I got this one as the cuvée spéciale. I have so many things to say about my Canadian experience, but I kind of want to go over it with this. We're gonna try this first because I bought this. It wasn't really expensive, but it was like, I would say at least $20 US. It felt like it. Anyway. It's basically like, it is a cider. It's like apple juice, but just with alcohol. It feels it tastes a little bit thicker than wine, but doesn't taste like beer. It's not like a liquor. My mom thought it tasted like a liquor, but it's not. It's just spiked cider. Right? So a couple of things I really want to talk about is that I've been doing a lot of traveling this year. So particularly this year, if I recap all of this year, so January didn't really go anywhere. March, I went to see my brother in Bowling Green. That was like about a 2.5 hour drive. So basically that was that. And then the following month in April, I remember going to New York to visit my best friend for her birthday. And this is official. We've been friends for 10 years. She's been my best friend for 10 years, and we collaborated on a project that you're gonna find out about in a little bit. But yeah, 10 years. It was actually my first time in New York as an adult. I don't know, I loved it, because the last time I was there was in 8th grade, and it was for a class trip, like end of the year trip. And it was like, all right, here's Central Park, let's go. All right, here's Times Square. There was a point like my mom thought that she lost me. And so she was just panicking because there's so many people in Times Square. Honestly, when I got there, I told my friend, it's like, I want to pretend I'm a native New Yorker. Like I'm a local right now. So I was like, please, let's talk about, like, let's go places that locals actually would go. Yeah, I enjoyed that experience for the most part. And then May, I packed my bags and went to Bowling Green again, because Bowling Green, my brother went to college there. And so of course I went there before he graduated, just so I can have like some time to have like big sister, little brother kind of sibling time, and to kind of give him like some type of perspective that was non-parental. Because I think that sometimes, like when we're around like our parents, they might, it feels like sometimes, like, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but it's like sometimes when you're around your parents, it feels like sometimes they're giving you instructions versus giving you perspective and kind of like seeing things from like a side-by-side perspective. And that's kind of the cool part about being an older sibling, is that, you're not a parent, but you also can give perspective. And then so in May, he graduated from college, and that was a big deal because officially my parents have put both their kids through college. So at this point, if any of us further our education, it will be on our own dime. And then literally the day after we got back from that trip from his graduation, I went to Mexico because my friend, she got married, and she was having a destination wedding in Playa del Carmen, which honestly though, the wedding was beautiful. It was fun. The people were great. It was my first time being around well, actually, it wasn't my first time. It was like my first time being around a bunch of Canadians. I've been around Canadians before, but it's like the whole environment outside of maybe a few people. And I was like, wow, like, these people are really nice, I've never met you guys before, but like, I was kind of really sad that I was leaving because I was like, I love you guys. But anyway, and then after that, I ended up moving out of my parents' house, so I could get my own space. And so I didn't kind of travel for a while because I was trying to get really adjusted. And then around September, I ended up going out to Nashville, because I go out to Nashville every so often for leadership conferences, and they're like, I go on a monthly basis just for entrepreneurship. You know, I'm a part of a mastermind group. So, but anyway, I go out there. I went out there for the first time, a part of this mastermind group, and had a great time. Met some really great people, great networking, just to see what that market looks like. And then literally after that, I think, no, before that, I went to Cleveland because we had a family vacation. It was like my cousin was turning 12, and we always go around like Labor Day weekend because he was born literally on Labor Day weekend. So we go up there and we see him, and yeah, we see him and have family time, you know. And sometimes he's plays sports, so sometimes we will watch some of his games. Yeah, and then I went to Nashville, and then after that, the very end of September going into October, I went to Las Vegas for a conference. It was a 3-day conference. Honestly, I will say, like, it was a great experience being able to see everybody again, because it's not my first time in Vegas. But my thing is that when you're an East Coast person and you wake up at 4 in the morning every single day, I swear to God, I was so miserable. I was just like, it was like 11 o'clock, which is like 2 a.m. my time. I'm just dying. But fortunately, with the time difference, I didn't have to worry about waking up 2 hours later. Obviously, I was in a different time zone. And then I had taken off work for that whole week just to kind of recover, which was great. And then what else did I do? After that, October, I really didn't do much. November, I went back to Nashville because leadership, networking, like, guys, networking is like life when it comes to business, you know. This is growing on me. Tastes like spiked apple cider. I love it. Anyway, and then from there, I think from December, I remember I caved because my friend was telling me, like, you should come to Canada. And I was supposed to go. She wanted me to come originally around Halloween because I actually wasn't doing anything around that time. But because I had just gotten back from Vegas, I decided I was going to take that time to kind of recover. Yeah, so I went to Canada a couple weeks ago, right before Christmas, and I had a blast. We went from Toronto, where my friend is, and we met up with our other friend in Montreal, and it was a great experience. Yeah, Montreal, like, when we went to this Christmas market, that's where I got this from. My friend gave me these like really cute slippers. This is one of them. So I wear them around the house all the time. Why not? Yeah, why not? Yeah, I had a really great experience. I tried poutine for the first time, which is like basically fries. Like it's like, it reminds me of like chili fries, because it's like fries and you have a meat on it, and then you have cheese. Like we had like, it was like ham on it. And then like one of my friends was like, I don't like cheese. So she just like kept picking out the cheese and putting it on my side because we split one. And because it was really huge. And it was great. It was a great experience. I would definitely go back to Canada. Another thing is that like they're kind of weird about their French, because a lot of their French is kind of different than the way I learned it, because it sounds like a lot of their language is just literally translating English into French, like word for word sometimes. Whereas I'm like, I would never say that. So I did a whole video on that. Regarding that experience, and then also I talked a lot about that in my language and culture competency video, because there are a lot of things you need to prepare for when you go on a trip, especially if it's in another culture. You're going somewhere outside of the country, or anywhere where a language is different than yours. So yeah, so that's basically my traveling for this year. The main thing I also want to talk about is projects, because we've got some things in the work. I've been working a lot on some upcoming projects for 2024, and a lot of it is, part of it is I rebranded my personal YouTube channel. So that's mainly going to be more of like just video diaries, I guess, and just things about being an entrepreneur, being multilingual, and my spirituality as well, because I'm very deeply Christian, and And when I say that, please, disclaimer, that does not mean I'm one of those like really like uptight conservatives, because I'm more of, it's something that I feel like is a private part of me, and sometimes I do like to talk about it. So it's mostly just me like rambling on my thoughts for most of it, you know. Yeah, so, but I rebranded my personal channel, so that's going to be talking a lot more on a personal level around business, multilinguality, and my life, my spiritual life. So it's just basically, it's there as a way of, if it's entertaining to you, if not, you don't have to watch it, you know, you have free agency. Also, I also want to think about what kind of videos you guys want to see in 2024, because I realized this year, a lot of videos I've been making have mostly been around language and culture competency. Like I've done a lot of that. I did a video on psycholinguistic perspectives of language learning and things like that. I've talked a lot about like dissecting songs. I've been talking about a lot of things relating to, you know, my experiences from traveling and things that I would share from that. And that's mainly where I want to focus on, but I also realize that maybe there are questions you might have, and I really hope that you can also comment those as well. If you have some like questions you're really concerned about when it comes to traveling, when it comes to studying abroad, living abroad, language barriers, even I've talked about relationships, even friendships, and even romantic relationships, because sometimes language and culture barriers can be a huge component of that. And I know more than anyone, having been in several different relationships that involve culture differences. Most of the times, most of the relationships I've been in, I've understood their native language, so the language barrier hasn't been really a big deal. But I do know that like when it comes to cultural things, it can cause some issues. It can cause some serious issues. I would say like, especially like when I think about like romantic relationships, because those are the ones that involve, you know, being more serious, and you have to be around this person in a different way than you are in like normal friendships, and just basically opening up conversations, because I feel like sometimes when you have like clash of cultures, it's like the main thing is trying to open up that conversation to understand one another, where it's like, this person is so strange. And it's like, maybe if you talk to them, you'll realize that that behavior is normal, but it's just not normal to you. So those kinds of conversations, I really have wanted to open up more on. And so I really just, like I said, I want to share all the aspects that I can really think of in regards to preparing for abroad experiences, and also just really focusing on encouraging that for the most part, because I realized that there's a huge demand for language and culture. And as you guys know, through this channel, and then as well as through my personal channel that I've also talked about, is that when it comes to any industry that you're a part of, whether you're in law, or you're in business, or you are dealing with like some type of form of government agency. Even when I was working in the fashion industry, there's a lot of different industries that are really demanding foreign language competency. And I think that in America, we don't emphasize that. There's a lot of things I've done through research that pretty much prove that, from government agency, research to the government, and looking at different schools and the percentages of how many people are enrolled in foreign language courses. So it's a really big demand. And I feel like sometimes we're not doing, actually, no, not sometimes, we're not doing enough to really compensate the amount of people that we need. I mean, I always talk about how 9/11 was actually preventable, because we didn't have enough people in our government systems that could translate these calls that they were intercepting. And so it was like very, very slow. And if anyone knows, working with any government agency is a slow process. I mean, I work for a judge, and so literally anytime she has court orders, there's literally 4 people. You know, since I handle her criminal stuff, it's like I'm one person writing all of these orders. It's just me, you know. And then same thing with civil side, is we have a staff attorney for, you know, anything that involves more in-depth legal work. And then we have one person who's assigned to our division, who's our clerk, who processes our orders. So when you have only 4 people, like chain of command, someone's writing the orders, someone's signing the orders, and then someone's, I'm just gonna tell you right now, government sucks. It's slow. But the part about it, it's very slow. And so the part of it is that if you don't have the manpower to be able to make these processes much more efficient, then that's a big thing, especially if you're dealing with immigration. I mean, can you imagine how much easier that is if you have more people that can understand all of these different languages? And I sometimes feel like we're underutilizing the immigrants that we have, because I mean, for us to have like more, not only language, but cultural competency, it makes sense to, if you have immigrants coming from like Latin and South America, and you're trying to find more people to be able to teach Spanish, for example, who is better? No one is better to teach Spanish than someone who actually comes from a Spanish-speaking country. I talk about that all the time. And I also presented at the World Language Teachers Summit this year. And there were a lot of presenters who were from different places, like some were of Mexican origin, someone was from Guatemala, someone was from Colombia, and they teach Spanish. And I'm thinking, of course, like I think there should be more of that, more people who are being trained in education to teach a language that and a culture that they are very familiar with, because sometimes you miss that cultural competency. That doesn't mean that people who are non-natives can't teach it, because I'm non-native and I teach French, but part of it is just that I've had experiences that have allowed me to be able to, if you're going to teach another language, I mean, it helps that, you study abroad, and you get like immersive experience. You can tell people what that experience looks like being around these native speakers. Because I think the problem is that from what I see is that when I teach adults who are in their 30s and 40s, and 50s even, is that you have people who are like, I took 2 years of this language and I have no idea. Like, it's like, well, why are we not closing that gap? That's the worst thing for a language teacher to hear, is like, yeah, like 10 years, yeah, I took your class and I don't know anything about this language you taught me. That means I didn't do a good job. Especially like, later on when people find, they're like, yeah, I actually found this language relevant. So now I'm going to actually use it, or I'm actually going to learn it and take it seriously, And so, especially I know that there are a lot of strategies around that, because when you're dealing with like adolescents who are like, this is ridiculous, whatever, like who don't always take their education seriously, but we can change that. So I'm really working on that, particularly with my research and building partnerships within our community, so that we can actually find a way to, especially I want to hear from teachers, because I know that for me, I'm more of a research different methods and see how it works. But I know that it's different when you're a teacher. And I feel like if you are involving teachers in this process, then it makes a huge difference, because they're the ones that are teaching it. And so you need to have their perspective to know what's working and what's not, and what's best for them to be able to do their job. I would love to hear your suggestions on that, or as well as what other content you want us to talk about. And then the last thing I want to talk about is we have a huge announcement. So basically next spring, or this coming spring, we have a brand new podcast that we're launching. It is called Living the International Life. And the idea came to me, I want to say earlier this year, or a little bit from last year in 2022, because I realized that part of my platform is I'm really talking about me and my experiences. Every now and then I might incorporate, research and other people's perspectives, but I felt like it would be really beneficial for people to hear from others who've had these types of experiences. Because I think for most part, going abroad is something that I feel like no one ever regrets. Even like if you followed my podcast on Destination Deutschland about my experience as an au pair and those audio diaries, is that, even though the opportunity didn't work out the way that I was hoping it would, but I still don't regret it. And it's been a huge learning opportunity. And so hearing from other people who are au pairs, I don't want you to get my perspective as just my perspective as an au pair, because it may not be the same experience you're going to have. Other perspectives of people being au pair. I have my best friend, she actually talked about her experience going to Oxford. All of these episodes have already been recorded with the people that we've collaborated with. And so I'm so excited for you guys to hear their perspectives on just traveling abroad, on what it's like to go to school abroad. Because my best friend, she went to Oxford in the UK, and she shares her authentic experience on that. And then We have another person a couple of people who are living in 2 different countries. I think actually 2 people who are living in Spain, and another person who moved to Italy and over the last year or so. And so I'm so happy to actually that these collaborations worked out, because with all the schedules, because I really wanted you guys to get an experience, because if other people can do it, you know, maybe it might help you and your motivations. And if you are trying to, you know, go abroad, if you are trying to have experiences outside of your own native language, or maybe you may be in a relationship with someone who's from a different culture and trying to adapt to that, you know, that type of thing, from a different culture. So I'm so excited about announcing that. It's gonna be next spring, and so we're gonna make the full announcement on the 1st or 2nd. I believe the 2nd is on New Year's Day. Who's paying attention to that? But anyway, yeah, we have that coming out, and then the official lineup, announcing all of the people, all the guest speakers on the podcast. They will be announced in February, and the first episode will be aired on in March, around spring. So, and when we release the lineup, we'll actually be showing the date in which that episode is going to air. So if there's someone's story you really, really want to hear, then you actually know to mark your calendar for that particular day, because I want to make sure that you guys get the experiences and the perspectives that you want. Anyway, it is, I know Christmas Eve is in the next couple of days, by the time I'm filming this, but thank you guys so much for watching. And I really hope that you guys are going to get really excited about the content we're coming out with next year. And we have a whole new theme, because we're really wanting to, we've just come out of 5 years of being a nonprofit organization. And so coming into our 6th year, we wanted to make sure that every year we're doing something that is bigger than what we did last year, and we're making it even more a bigger impact. So on behalf of Multilingual and Philanthropic Incorporated, our job is really to make you more connected to the world and the people that are in it. So I'll see you around. Bye. Welcome to the Living International Life podcast, presented by Multilingual and Philanthropic Incorporated and hosted by me, Jazz Cole. This is a new podcast to share real stories of what it's like to study, work, visit, and even live abroad through experiences like mine, as well as others. We want to open up conversations on a variety of topics, from obtaining visas, finding work, and even running a business abroad, responsible tourism, to immigration, while inspiring anyone with international dreams and aspirations and helping them bring those aspirations into reality. Lisa Ling once said, "The best education I have ever received was through travel." In that same spirit, we want to help you get more connected to the world and the people in it. So stay tuned for more episodes.